Welcome to Things Are True channel.
It was a quiet Friday evening when 17-year-old Liam wandered through the attic of his family's old Victorian house. Dust swirled in the dim light, filtering through the cracked windows, and a strange chill seemed to follow him with each step. Amid the forgotten trunks and cobweb-covered furniture, Liam's eyes caught something unusual, a tall, antique mirror leaning against the far wall. Its frame was carved with intricate patterns of twisting vines and faces that seemed almost alive in the shadows. It was as if the mirror had been waiting for him. Drawn by a mix of curiosity and unease, Liam stepped closer, brushing away the thick layer of dust covering the glass. For a moment, he saw only his reflection, pale and nervous, staring back at him. But then, as he blinked, the image in the mirror shifted. The reflection's eyes seemed darker, sunken, filled with a terror that Liam did not feel. His heart raced, but he convinced himself it was just his imagination. That night, Liam couldn't stop thinking about the mirror. He dreamt of it, the carved faces whispering his name in a language he didn't understand. Each dream ended with a vision of himself lying in a dark room, a shadow looming above him, his eyes wide with fear. Waking up in a cold sweat, Liam felt the oppressive presence of the mirror, even though he was far from the attic. Something about it clung to his thoughts, like a warning he could not ignore. By the weekend, Liam had brought the mirror down from the attic into his bedroom. He rationalized that it would be easier to examine it up close, maybe even understand why he felt so drawn to it. The moment he placed it against his wall, a strange heaviness filled the room. The air seemed thicker, and shadows stretched unnaturally, reacting to the mirror's presence. That night, Liam lay in bed, staring at it. At first, the mirror reflected his normal surroundings, but slowly the images began to twist. His reflection moved differently, as if it had a life of its own. When he raised his hand, the reflection didn't match. It moved slower, jerking in unnatural motions. A chill ran down his spine, and he took a step back, but the reflection smiled. A cruel, knowing smile he did not make. Over the next few days, Liam noticed small changes. Objects in his room were slightly out of place. His phone screen flickered with shadows, and his reflection occasionally lagged, showing a face of horror that he hadn't worn. His friends noticed he seemed distracted, anxious, and pale, but he couldn't explain why. Each night, the mirror's visions became more vivid. He saw glimpses of his own death, a dark figure with long, skeletal fingers reaching towards him, shadows consuming his room, and the sensation of falling into endless darkness. At first, Liam tried to avoid the mirror, covering it with blankets, even pushing it back into the corner. But no matter what he did, the visions followed him. They appeared in his dreams, on reflective surfaces like windows, water, and his phone screen. The mirror had become a portal, a window into a nightmarish future that he could neither escape nor fully understand. One evening, determined to confront it, Liam stared directly into the mirror. The reflection's eyes bored into his soul, and suddenly he was no longer looking at himself, but at a version of him trapped in a room of shadows, screaming silently. The mirror image mouthed words that he somehow understood. "It's coming for you." Panic surged, and Liam stumbled back, his pulse pounding. He realized that the mirror did not just show death, it predicted it, and now the clock was ticking. Desperate, Liam searched for any clue about the mirror's origin. He visited the local library, digging through old town records and newspapers. He discovered mentions of a mirror belonging to a wealthy family who had mysteriously vanished decades ago. Legend said the mirror trapped souls, showing them their worst fears until reality bent and consumed them. The more he read, the more he understood the stakes. This mirror was alive, feeding on fear, shaping destinies, and his own death was becoming inevitable. By the third week, Liam's life began to unravel. Shadows followed him outside his room. Reflections in shop windows and car mirrors briefly morphed into the dark version of himself. He could no longer sleep, eat, or focus on school. His parents, concerned, tried to intervene, but the mirror seemed to influence him directly, whispering threats only he could hear. He began recording himself at night, hoping to capture the mirror's strange phenomena. But when he reviewed the footage, only darkness and a faint, distorted smile appeared on the screen. The next few nights were worse than Liam could have imagined. Each vision in the mirror was more vivid, more terrifying. He began to see events unfold in real time, almost as if the mirror was testing him, preparing him for something inevitable. Shadows crept along his walls even when the lights were on, and the air grew colder with every passing hour. Liam's reflection no longer mimicked him. It acted independently, gesturing, smiling, even shaking its head in mockery. One night, as the clock struck midnight, Liam felt a compulsion he could not resist. Drawn to the mirror, he found himself standing inches from it, staring deep into the eyes of the dark version of himself. The figure in the reflection raised a finger and traced a path from Liam's forehead to his heart. Panic surged through him, but he could not move. The reflection whispered in a voice only he could hear, "You can't escape me. Death is patient." Terrified, Liam knew he had to find a way to destroy the mirror. He remembered reading in the old town records that the mirror had once been shattered, but each shard was rumored to retain a fragment of its dark power. Liam realized that destroying it recklessly could worsen the curse, unleashing the shadows into the world. He needed a plan, and he needed help. The next day, Liam confided in his best friend, Emily, showing her the mirror and recounting the visions. At first, Emily laughed nervously, thinking he was joking, but when she looked into the glass, she saw it too. Her own reflection twisted into something horrifying, shadows creeping behind her, the eyes of her reflection dark and empty. Terrified, she agreed to help Liam find a solution. Together, they researched every detail of the mirror's history. They discovered that it was crafted by a forgotten artisan who dabbled in dark magic, using a rare black crystal to trap souls and manipulate reality. The mirror fed on fear, learning from its victims until it could influence the world outside its frame. To break it, they would need a counterforce, a ritual that combined courage, light, and the breaking of fear itself. As night fell, Liam and Emily prepared the ritual. Candles were placed in a protective circle, salt sprinkled along the edges of the room, and a small black crystal, found in the attic among other forgotten objects, was positioned before the mirror. Liam's heart pounded as he stepped closer to the glass, his reflection staring back at him, now with a sinister grin. The shadows behind it moved like living smoke, swirling, reaching, hungry. Liam began to speak the words of the ritual, reciting the incantation Emily had read from an ancient manuscript. The mirror trembled, the glass rippling as if liquid. Shadows screamed silently, twisting and contorting, trying to escape the protective circle. The reflection of Liam raised his hands and pressed them against the inside of the glass, its mouth opening in a silent scream that mirrored his own fear. For what felt like hours, the mirror resisted, fighting against the light and courage Liam tried to summon. He could feel the darkness clawing at his mind, whispering doubts, fears, and visions of death. Memories of the worst moments of his life flashed before him, magnified, intensified, designed to break him. But Liam focused on Emily's hand gripping his, grounding him in reality, in friendship, in hope. He forced himself to step forward, to confront the reflection, to face the terror that sought to control him. Suddenly, the mirror cracked. A spiderweb of fractures spread across the glass, and the dark version of Liam screamed in agony, a sound that shook the room to its foundations. Shadows writhed, attempting to flee, but the protective circle held them at bay. The mirror splintered further, shards falling away, revealing a void behind it, a nothingness that seemed to swallow the twisted reflections whole. As the last shard fell, Liam felt a rush of cold air, followed by silence. The oppressive weight lifted, and the room felt lighter, warmer, alive again. He stumbled back, exhausted but alive. Emily embraced him, relief flooding her face. The mirror was gone, shattered, its curse broken. Or so they hoped. The next morning, Liam and Emily returned to the attic to dispose of the remaining shards carefully. As they placed the pieces in a sealed enchanted box, Liam felt a twinge of unease. One shard glimmered faintly, catching the sunlight streaming through the window. For a brief moment, he thought he saw a tiny, twisted reflection staring back at him. But when he blinked, it was gone. Liam knew that some darkness might linger, a reminder of the night he faced death in the mirror. But he also knew something important. Fear only has power when it is allowed to control us. Courage, friendship, and determination had won that night. And though shadows might return, Liam had learned how to face them, to stand against the terror that sought to control him, and to survive. Weeks passed, and life slowly returned to normal. Liam went back to school, Emily by his side, but neither of them forgot the lessons of the mirror. Every reflective surface held a memory, a reminder that fear could be conquered. And sometimes, in the quiet moments, when Liam thought no one was watching, he could swear he saw a flicker in the corner of a mirror, an echo of the darkness he had defeated. It was a warning, perhaps, or a test. And so Liam lived, changed but stronger. He had seen the face of death in a mirror, confronted it, and survived. The house remained, quiet and still, the shadows lying dormant, for now. But one thing is certain. Some mirrors do not just reflect. Some mirrors remember, and some mirrors wait. As night fell, the wind whispered through the attic windows, carrying with it a faint echo of a laugh, a shadow that seemed to shimmer in the corner of an old, forgotten room. And somewhere deep in the darkness, the mirror watched, patient, waiting for the next reflection to test. The nightmare was over, but the story had just